Thank you for joining us. I am Felicity Ezewike. Our coverage tonight begins with politics in Nigeria's southern state of Ondo, where former Deputy Governor Ajayi Agboola has emerged as the candidate of the People's Democratic Party, PDP, for the November governorship election in the state. Mr. Agboola polled 264 votes to defeat his closest rival, a former member of the House of Representatives, Kolade Akinjo, who got 157 votes at the party's primary held on Wednesday. At least 7 aspirants contested the election, with 621 delegates accredited. Other results showed that the former Secretary General of the Afenifere, Chief Shola Ebiseni, polled 99 votes. Adeolu Akinwumi got 64 votes. Bamidele Akingboye scored 24. And John Mafo polled 9, while Bosun Arebuwa had 2 votes. The candidate served as the deputy governor to the late Rotimi Akeredolu up until 2020, before he decamped to the PDP following moves to impeach him. Meanwhile, the stage seems set for the 2 former deputies of the late Rotimi Akeredolu to slug it out in the November 16 governorship election. This follows the conclusion of the primary elections of both the APC and the PDP, with Agboola Ajayi, the former deputy governor to late Governor Akeredolu, emerging as the flag bearer of the party, as well as Lucky Aiyedatiwa, the incumbent governor of the state, also a former deputy to the late governor, emerging the candidate of the ruling party. Recall that Agboola dumped the APC in 2020 following impeachment moves against him.
Agboola, having scored the highest number of votes, is hereby declared the winner of this primary and hereby declared the candidate of the People's Democratic Party for the November 2024 election, and is hereby returned as the candidate. Thank you and God bless.
To discuss this, we are joined by political analyst and legal practitioner Okiki Adeniro. Okiki, thank you very much for joining us. What implications does Ajayi Agboola's emergence as the PDP candidate for the election have for the political landscape in the state?
Yeah, thank you for having me. I believe that the implication will probably be that, you know, as it is now, both parties we're talking about were former deputy governor, and they've served in one capacity or the other in the state. So I believe that right now it's going to be an interesting time in Ondo State. It's going to be a good time to have, you know, both parties come out to, you know, give us what plan and what are the things that they have in mind towards Ondo State, and what they would like to, you know, do for Ondo State in order to prepare the minds of the people for the general election.
Both men have been players in politics actively in the state, rising to being deputies of the same late Akeredolu. They're both flag bearers now. With their wealth of knowledge, how do you anticipate, you know, it will impact the dynamics of the election campaign?
Well, I believe that the election campaign will probably be a time where both parties will have to come up with the antecedents. You know, just like you said, we're both deputy governors, and in fact, the governor right now, you know, just some months ago was deputy governor before he was made the governor of the state. I believe that both parties will probably have to, you know, convince the Ondo State people with the achievements and even with their plans. You know, achievements in the sense that they were deputy governors. The Ondo State people will probably be looking out for, you know, what are the you know, good things that were done at the time they were deputy governors. And as a matter of fact, you know, on the part of Agboola, you probably need to, you know, let the people know the good things he did at the time he was the deputy governor to convince them to vote for him. And for the governor, I believe that the governor even has the upper hand because Agboola was a deputy, the governor, was a deputy, and now he's a governor, he's the one in charge of the state. And, you agree with me that most importantly, he has been the one steering the affairs of the state for some months now, and he has done some things which I believe that the Ondo State people I will be very, very sure that if probably it is voted again, it will probably be a good tenure. But on the part of Agboola, he needs to go above and beyond to convince the Ondo State people that he's capable of doing much more than what the governor can do.
Primaries for the key parties done. What do you think will be the dominating issues, or some of the dominating issues that will form part of the campaign ahead of the polls?
Well, I believe that the dominating issues will probably be that, like I said, it will be centered around the achievements at the time they were serving as deputy governors. And, as a matter of fact, even for the governor, as we speak presently, it will be centered around the achievements. One of the key things that I believe that Ondo State people will probably be looking at will be that, what are the good things you've done for us, and what are you capable of doing again? As the governor of the state, I believe that, in some months, or probably, past months that he has been the governor, has been steps that have been taken, things have been done, projects have been, started. These things are meant to be spoken to people, and are meant to be shown to people to convince them of what exactly they should do, probably to vote for them, or vote for the governor, or probably vote for the deputy governor. And I believe that on the part of the former deputy governor, Agboola, on his own part, he needs to, convince the Ondo State people to let them know that yes, he's capable of doing what he will be voted for. And basically, I believe that at the end of the whole thing, probably there's a contest between both of them as regards having a campaign speech or anything between both of them. You can be sure that both of them will have things to say, and can be able to convince the Ondo State people positively.
All right, one quick one before we let you go. Is this going to be a two-horse race, or you expect some unexpected emergence that will, really put a dent and make the fight tough?
Shall I say that again, please?
I'm asking if is it going to be a two-horse race, or you expect maybe a third or fourth candidate could come up that will really impact the fight for the governorship seat?
Well, I believe it will probably be a two-horse race, because these are two parties, the APC and the PDP, right? And these are the major parties as we speak right now in Nigeria. I believe that the contest, personally, that my own belief is that the contest is between the PDP and the APC, especially in Ondo State. And let's see how it goes in the nearest future. I believe that we'll see the results.
It seems like
this election.
It seems like it's far away, but it's just around the corner. Thank you very much, Okiki, for speaking with us.
Thank you for having me.
A total of 14 fleeing inmates of the Suleja Medium Security Custodial Center in Niger State have been recaptured so far. Spokesperson for the Federal Capital Territory Command of the Nigerian Correctional Service, Adamu Duza, made the disclosure on Thursday evening. He noted that intelligence officers, armed squadron officers, in collaboration with the Nigerian police, DSS, and other security agencies, are combing neighboring communities to find the remaining fleeing inmates. A downpour on Wednesday night reportedly wreaked havoc on the Medium Security Custodial Center in Suleja, resulting in extensive damage to the facility and facilitating the escape of 119 inmates. The downpour caused severe damage to the custodial center infrastructure, including a breach in the perimeter fencing allowing inmates to flee. Earlier, principal partner, Benita Law Firm, and independent resource person on security and justice issues, Ogu Ogechi, spoke to us on this development.
In terms of other vulnerabilities, the details are not yet fully out. And in terms of staff, the staff must have been around. There are some staff that are always in the custodial center every 24/7. So in terms of that, the staff must have been there. Whatever vulnerabilities the inmates may have faced, they too may have faced. Then in terms of security, it depends on the technology. It's a medium security correctional center. So I don't think they have so much of such complicated, technology-based security gadgets in the correctional center. So more or less, I think it's the infrastructure, the building that is much affected in terms of defense, as we can see from the pictures that are shared there, and we know the reason for this. Of course, the integrity of the building is threatened by weather, by age, most of them. I know you must have seen the reports by US on custodial centers in Nigeria indicating that
Motorists in Nigeria's capital, Abuja, have expressed displeasure at the appearance of long queues in petrol stations within the capital. They say the scarcity is forcing them to abandon their daily activities and is affecting their livelihoods. Idong Joseph tells us more.
The queues are once again evident within Nigeria's city center. And with the recent scarcity lingering over 3 days, many motorists say the inability to get the product has become a source of untold hardship. Some of the motorists resorted to bribing their way into petrol stations with as about 1,000 naira, and those who were unwilling to do the same spent longer hours on the queue.
Don't you see it? These people that are not entering queue, see them, they were allowed them to enter now before we enter.
Almost 4 hours now I'll be here for this total. I cannot be able to reach the way I'm supposed to buy fuel. But in the next one, I'm sure I will get the fuel.
Just imagine paying close to 700, and yet we are subjected to this kind of hardship, being in the queue for over 2 hours and still counting.
Expressing frustration over the situation, despite the high cost of the product, some of the motorists say they are yet to know the cause of the current scarcity.
What's the really problem that we are suffering to get fuel? What is the problem? That's why the increment. If there's anything wrong, let them solve it so that we can get the fuel. So we don't understand. And no communication, nothing, anything this like they have to communicate, but they are not communicating.
Some they don't even say. The one that sell fuel, a queue there, you cannot be able to, even other people that are passing with the leg cannot be able to pass. We don't hear anything. We don't know what is happening, whether they want to increase or they want to break the fuel down, we don't know.
They call on the federal government to find a lasting solution to the recurring scarcity, as petrol is an essential commodity for their daily activities.
They have to do something. If they cannot drop fuel, let fuel be inside. Let them bring fuel for us.
Government should have a system that is working in place. It's like the NNPC is not living up to its expectation. They are not doing their work. That's why the price of the product can be speculated by other marketers.
With the removal of subsidy on the products, many Nigerians would have thought that the issue of scarcity will become a thing of the past. Unfortunately, citizens are still searching for answers that seem difficult to come by. In Abuja for News Central, I am Idong Joseph.
In the meantime, the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited has announced that the recent fuel scarcity in some parts of the country has been resolved. According to the NNPC, the issue stemmed from logistical challenges, which they have now addressed. In a statement issued by the Chief Corporate Communications Officer, there is no shortage of fuel and there are no plans to increase petrol prices at this time. NNPC urged Nigerians to remain calm and avoid panic buying as it assured the public that there is enough petrol to meet nationwide demand. A former Senate spokesperson, Ajayi Agboola, has died at the age of 65. Ajayi, who represented the Enugu North Senatorial District between 2000 and 2015, passed away on Thursday in an Abuja hospital after suffering from an undisclosed illness. Ajayi, who is also one of the founding members of the People's Democratic Party, was confirmed by the Senate in May 2023 as a Federal Commissioner for Revenue Mobilization, Allocation and Fiscal Commission. In his years at the Senate, he also served as the chairman of the Senate Committee of Works and a member of committees on constitutional amendment, police affairs, national planning, marine transport and federal character, and intergovernment affairs. Glad you're still with us. Let's now tell you that the Trade Union Congress of Nigeria has criticized the federal government for the hike in electricity tariff, despite the hardship being witnessed by Nigerians. According to the organized labor union, the government failed to engage with Nigerians before increasing the cost of electricity as provided by the law.
The process and the procedure for us in Trade Union Congress of Nigeria, our resolve was that the increment was done hastily. The process and the procedure was not followed. There are provisions, as stated in the Act, that before you increase tariffs, there should be stakeholders' engagement. And in this case, that wasn't done. And all we have resolved is that government must follow the due process as spelled out by the law. We are a country that is governed by rules. We are countries that is governed by laws. And in anything we do, the rules and the laws must be strictly followed and must be strictly applied.
Nigeria's federal government says that it has set an annual target of creating about 2.5 million jobs annually for citizens. This was made known by the Ministry of Labour and Employment in Abuja as it met with development partners, saying it intends to focus more on youth empowerment and skill acquisition initiatives. Marvelous Obomanu reports.
In attendance are senior officials of the Federal Ministry of Labour and Employment and international development partners. Those present expressed their commitment to improving the lives of citizens by tackling poverty and unemployment.
Because if you look at the past, the ministry has been really much on the sidelines, hasn't done enough, I feel, for the labour and employment sector. So the fact that this initiative has even been created and the energy that I am seeing around this initiative and people willing to drive it, I think we will start seeing some really impressive changes, especially it's in line with Mr. President's goals of driving it's 6 points of his 8 initiatives. So I think we will see some real change.
Officials from the Federal Ministry of Labour and Employment also gave assurances that it will tackle current unemployment challenges, seeking to create about 2.5 million jobs annually.
The breakdown and the way we intend to do this is to do this directly and indirectly, not just going directly and creating these jobs by ourselves. We hope to do it through the people we empower, through the people we train. If we are doing the digital skills initiative, which basically looks to equip and empower people with digital skills, digital marketing, data analysis, and the rest of it. The global remote work is something that can scale a whole lot because you can sit down here in Nigeria and provide services for organizations in Nigeria and outside of Nigeria. We are facing it intake per quarter, right? Because we want to do it on a quarterly basis, and we are looking to do this 500,000 per quarter. Yes, directly and indirectly.
It's very doable. So it's obviously just creating the workforce that can help support the driver initiative. So I think it's very doable. Whether it's going to be done in a year, who knows? Maybe 6 months, maybe 2 years.
We are not going to take our jobs lightly, and we are not going to look at people who believe that they are occupying space. Shift, you will not shift. produce, you will not produce. So we are going to see a lot of changes, and there are going to be sanctions for people who are not delivering on their mandates.
The World Bank says the current poverty rate rose from 40% in 2018 to about 46% in 2024. It adds that this has increased the number of poor people in the country from 79 million to 104 million persons. To reduce the current unemployment rate in Nigeria, the Federal Ministry of Labor and Employment has promised to give 2.5 million Nigerians jobs yearly, directly or indirectly, and this is approximately about 208,000 jobs every month. Many Nigerians will be eager to see how this pans out in the coming months. In Abuja for News Central, Marvelous Oboman.
In an effort to deepen diplomatic relations, the state of Qatar and Nigeria's Ondo State have forged closer ties as Qatar's ambassador to Nigeria met with Ondo State governor. During the meeting, the ambassador pledged support for the state by inaugurating a multi-million naira Al-Karat Institute in Maiduguri. News Center's Umaru Kirawa completes the report.
People of Nigeria's northeastern state of Borno enjoy the return of relative peace in the nooks and crannies of the state after many years of conflict. However, the indices for the number of out-of-school children in the state, and by extension the northeast Nigeria, remains a source of concern. Qatar's ambassador to Nigeria met with Borno State Governor to unveil Al-Khairat Institute in Maiduguri, provided by the Qatar Foundation. The multi-million naira project aims to provide educational opportunities for the youth in the region.
I want to assure you that the government of Borno State will support all the Qataris Foundation initiatives that will bring succor to the people of Borno State. And ours is to ensure that our people will continue to pray to you for the success of the Qatarian government and for your own success, and inshallah we shall succeed.
The Qatar ambassador to Nigeria engaged in a fruitful meeting with the Borno State government to discuss potential areas of collaboration and cooperation.
We are coming to enhance our relation and to develop more and more in this frontier.
We are grateful to you, and we are very grateful to our governor, His Excellency, Professor Pano Marathon, who opened this case for this very important business, very important case.
The ambassador emphasized the significance of investing in education as a means to uplift communities, empowering the youth, and creating a brighter future for the world.
They have been assisting the government of Borno State. A few months ago, they provided some food items for us. The relationship between the Middle East, the Arab world, and the people and government of Borno State need not to be overemphasized. We shall partner with you in order to promote cordial relationship between Nigeria and Qatar.
The Qatar delegation also pledged to sponsor 1,000 orphans in Borno State. This initiative also aims to provide support for vulnerable children who have been affected by the region's challenges. In Maiduguri for News Central, Umaru Kirawa.
The fight against malaria can only become successful when the people take preventive measures seriously. This formed the focal point at the 2024 Malaria Day celebration at Michael Okpara Auditorium in Umuahia, the Abia State capital. My colleague Chinwe Ugele tells us more.
Nigeria is said to be home to 27% of malaria carriers world over, with pregnant women and babies most vulnerable to this.
Malaria is a very serious public health problem in Nigeria. About 97% of the population are at risk. That tells you how serious it is.
At the event to mark the 2024 World Malaria Day in Umuahia, emphasis is on the need for everyone to adopt healthy lifestyles as a way of stemming the impact of malaria amongst the people.
Keep your environment clean. And also, most importantly, this issue of insecticide treatedness must be used and applied appropriately.
Experts and speakers say elimination of malaria is possible if only the people will adopt best practices.
I have the conviction that we can eliminate malaria from Abia.
but it needs very disciplined attitude by Africans.
But the bottom line is this: no net Malaria. Take anybody from around you.
Wife of Abia State Governor Priscilla Oti says it is disturbing that Abia State is listed among the states with high prevalence of malaria disease. She wants the most vulnerable to take advantage of the free facilities made available by the government in prevention and treatment at various localities.
I am very committed to ensure that no child, no woman, and no Abians die from malaria-related health issues.
I cover my food, my baby's food, then we use mosquito nets to sleep. By cleaning my environment and sleeping beside.
Those who came for the program were taught on how to effectively use the treated insecticidal mosquito nets. In Omahafoni Central, Chinwe Ugele.
In a bid to commemorate the 2024 World Malaria Day, the Pediatric Association of Nigeria has stressed the need to not relent in the ongoing fight against malaria, with a focus on the theme, accelerating the fight against malaria for a more equitable world. Let's change the narrative now. To take a look at efforts at changing the narrative, I'm joined by Professor of Pediatrics and Consultant Pediatrician, University of Ilorin Teaching Hospital, Olubenga Ayodeji Mokuolu, I beg your pardon. Thank you very much for joining us, Prof.
Thank you very much. Good evening, viewers, once again.
All right. What would you say is the biggest challenge preventing all Nigerian children from getting the malaria treatment they need?
Well, the first thing is to ensure that they are adequately covered in terms of the preventive tools that we have. And that means that we must be able to reach every child wherever they are located, irrespective of their physical access challenges. We must be able to get to them. So a big challenge is resource. Another challenge, of course, is that they are dependent on what the adults do. So we need adults to be convinced so that they can expose the children to the interventions that are made available. If we provide nets for the children, then we need the adults to assist them to be able to use these nets. We need the support to ensure that the environment is kept safe and free from malaria. Those that are in school, we want their schools to be safe and equally minimize the risk of them contacting malaria at that point. And when they are sick, for them to be able to be taken to the hospital or to any health facility promptly, where they get tested and then they get treated before it escalates to a very severe disease that can easily result in death.
All right, Prof, I'll just crave your indulgence to give us some time. Let's quickly go on this short break. We'll be right back with you to talk about this. Just stay with us, dear viewer. Thank you for staying with us. We still have the Prof talking about malaria and its prevention in Nigeria. So I'll just go straight to the second question I have for you. How are the Nigerian government, health workers and other organizations working together to fight malaria in children, and are there specific approaches showing significant progress?
As well as health workers have been at the forefront of the fight against malaria. The amount of preventive interventions that has been deployed is an expression of commitment. There is a lot of training and capacity development that has been going on. And if you look at the statistics, we've been having gradual decline in the incidence of malaria as well as related deaths. So efforts have been made, and there has been call on the international community to join hands with the government of Nigeria, and they have responded to this call currently. So our approaches have been to ensure that children have access to nets, also to ensure that there are other chemopreventive measures. That is something we call seasonal malaria chemoprevention that is applied annually for about 4 cycles in a year. and that has been used to reach over 25 million children that are targeted in the areas that are eligible for such type of intervention. And then we've also been having periodic research to validate the data that we're using to guide actions on treatment. So the treatments are usually available free in most of these facilities. I mean, all these express the efforts towards the fight against malaria.
How about in resource-limited communities? What educational programs and preventive measures are most effective and should be known by a lot of people in this fight?
So what we do in those settings is to talk about community engagement. And this is community-level management of malaria. And it's a bit more intense because it requires organizing the communities and getting them to understand what is malaria, what causes it, issues around perception, in order to know that it is not just merely walking under the sun, to recognize the early symptoms and what actions to take when that occurs. Part of the effort is that they then have caregivers that are close to them, either as community health workers, community-oriented persons, or what the government itself has done structurally that is called the community health influencers and agents that we call CHIPS agents. So we've tried to ensure that the care is domesticated as close as possible to the people so that they don't get missed. And then we pay attention to special areas like refugee camps in order to try and ensure that services are located in those places. The places where we have internally displaced persons, we equally try to concentrate on them. And for every other intervention that we carry out, there is an effort to ensure that we reach those children. However, with all of this, I must still admit that there are some gaps, and we're calling for increased participation and resource mobilization domestically in order to be able to bridge this gap and expose our children to new interventions like the malaria vaccine that is about being rolled out later this year, and to call for support for such interventions.
All right, Prof, thank you very much for speaking with us.
Thank you. You're welcome.
Tanzania has strongly denied allegations of human rights abuses and forced evictions raised by the Auckland Institute, prompting the World Bank to suspend funding for a $150 million conservation project. Responding to the allegations on Thursday, government spokesman Mobhare Matini disclosed that preliminary investigations have revealed no evidence to support the claims. He urged the World Bank to provide any evidence it has to substantiate the allegations. He emphasized that Tanzania does not violate human rights in any development project, as the government is seriously concerned about people's rights and dignity. Tanzania, known for its rich biodiversity and iconic national parks, attracts millions of tourists annually. However, concerns over human rights violations near conservation areas have sparked international scrutiny. Up next is business news.
Business news in association with Money Master PSB, the easy way to master your money.
Welcome to Business News. Africa lost a staggering $13.7 billion to climate disasters in 2023, following scant progress in adopting and domesticating disaster risk reduction policy in Africa. This is according to a report by the United Nations Economic Commission for Africa, ECA, in collaboration with African Union Commission, the United Nations Development Programme, Regional Bureau for Africa, UNDP, RBA, and the African Development Bank, AFDB. Africa bears the brunt of climate change, with 60% of global climate disasters occurring there and displacing 12.5 million people. Despite this, only 29 African countries have national risk reduction strategies, and climate change is rarely integrated into national plans beyond agriculture. Rwanda's tourism revenue increased by 36% to $620 million in 2023, surpassing pre-pandemic levels. The growth was driven by 1.4 million visitors, marking a recovery rate of 124%. Domestic tourism played a significant role, contributing $47.7 million, with national parks generating $35.79 million. Volcanoes National Park experienced a 38% increase in visitors, followed by Akagera National Park 24% and Nyungwe National Park 10%. Nyungwe National Park was declared a World Heritage Site. The Rwanda Development Board's revenue sharing scheme with local communities resulted in $22 million being disbursed for various projects. The Chief Tourism Officer, Michela Guzangoga, attributed the growth to positioning Rwanda as a unique eco-tourism destination and partnerships with global hospitality brands. And finally, mining giant BHP Group has made a takeover approach for Anglo-American PLC, triggering potential industry changes. BHP's offer is conditional on the separation of Anglo-South African platinum and iron ore units. This deal would mark BHP's return to large-scale acquisitions. Focused on expanding its copper footprint, BHP aims to capitalize on the growing importance of copper in mining. Analysts predict other bidders may emerge if BHP continues to pursue the deal. The proposed bid values Anglo at $42.6 billion, a 28% premium. Anglo-American setbacks, reduced valuation, and complex structure have made it an attractive target. The board is reviewing the proposal with no certainty of an offer. A successful takeover would reshape the industry and strengthen BHP's global position. That's the offering on business news at this time. Thank you for watching. I am Perpetua Fasami Peter. The news continues shortly. Bye for now.
Sports updates. Let's now join our sports desk. In the world of sport, the Executive Board of the Nigerian Olympians Association has commended the Minister of Sport Development, Senator John Eno, for his vision and achievement in the field of sport development since he assumed office. In the courtesy visit, Olumide Oyedeji, the president of the association, expressed their desire to not only support the sport minister's vision, but also contribute to the growth of sport in Nigeria through mentoring of athletes. He highlighted the Olympians' contributions to the country and urged the minister to look into their welfare in line with his vision for sport development. Away from that, multiple national para-badminton champion Eniola Bolaji has been ranked world number 7 in the latest women's SL3 rankings, according to the World Para-Badminton governing body. Eniola's performance at the recently concluded Spanish Para-Badminton International Championship 2024 in Victoria moved her 3 places from number 10 to number 7 with 39,550 points. The world number 7 defeated world number 6, Okna Koznia from Ukraine 2-0 to clinch the gold medal in the women's SL3 at the 2024 Spanish Championship, which ended on the 21st of April. Eniola Bolaji has now begun her title chase at the 2024 Spanish Para-Badminton International, defeating Caroline Brognion from France and Peru Palmer from India 2-0 in the group stages. Now, ahead of the Sahara Conference phase of the 2024 Basketball Africa League BAL, Rivers Hoopers guard Kelvin Omayo believes the Nigerian champions can match any team at the Africa's Elite Club Basketball Showpiece. Omayo, who joined Rivers Hoopers ahead of the 2024 Basketball Africa League, has been in training camp with the rest of the Hoopers squad since April 9th. He hailed the quality of his teammates and the coaching staff inclusive. Omayo, who was an integral part of Stade Malien, their campaign that won the Sahara Conference in the last edition and placed 3rd overall in the last season, also stated that he hopes his experience will help the Rivers Hoopers perform better at this year's Basketball Africa League than in their debut appearance 3 years ago.
He has an opportunity, and we think we should play together. And I checked out, he showed me the team that was going to be, and I contacted John, and I thought we could do something.
Cairo giants Zamalek have received yet another transfer ban due to late wages owed to former Moroccan striker Khalid Bataib. Now, during his time in Cairo, Bataib scored 5 goals in 25 games and was part of Zamalek team that won the 2019 CAF Confederation Cup. Following his departure, Bataib filed a case to the Federation of International Football Association, FIFA, against Zamalek, requiring the payment of his late fees, which had been pending for 4 years. The decision of the Swiss court obligated Zamalek to pay £2.4 million, with £1.9 million as the initial fine and the rest as late fines, leading to Zamalek's registration being suspended by FIFA. Finally, in the world of sports, Naomi Osaka is out of the Madrid Open after a second-round defeat to the 15th seed, Lumdila Sansnova. Osaka continued her comeback in the women's tour, showed good fighting spirit to come back from a humbling first set to force a decider, but she fell just short, and Samsonova demonstrated impressive resolve to come through at 6-2, 4-6, 7-5 in 2 hours, 21 minutes, snapping a 5-match winless run. And that's it in the world of sport. I am Onyinyechi Obaro.
Up next now is entertainment with Jadel Simon.
Entertainment news in association with Glow Unlimited.
In entertainment, Nigerian music sensation Zinaliski is set to revolutionize the music scene with his upcoming album Element. In an Instagram live session, Zinaliski announced the album's release on Friday, April 26, 2024, promising to rescue listeners from sub-bar music. With a determination to elevate the industry standards, Zinaliski aims to deliver a refreshing musical experience, challenging his peers to raise their game. We anticipate that one dropping tomorrow. And now, away from the continent, Iranian rapper Tumaj Salehi has been sentenced to death by an Iranian court for supporting anti-hijab protests. Salehi, jailed for over a year and a half, backed protests triggered by the death of Mahsa Amini, who died after being arrested for wearing an improper hijab in 2022. The East Fahan Revolutionary Court accused Salehi of corruption on earth. Can you imagine that? And assistance in sedition, assembly and collusion, propaganda against the system, and calling for riots. Despite the Iranian Supreme Court's review and instruction to correct flaws in the sentence, the lower court, in an unprecedented move, upheld the death sentence, emphasizing its independence. Salehi's lawyer stated that the rapper would appeal against the sentence. And that's all for tonight on entertainment. When we return from this break, we'll bring you the updates on what's trending tonight. Now, moving away from entertainment stories, the highlight of our trending story today is the hashtag fuel. Today, Nigerians faced widespread fuel scarcity and price hikes, prompting concerns nationwide. Reports of fuel shortages and price increases surfaced from various locations. However, this evening, the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation released a press statement announcing that the issue causing the tightness of petroleum motor spirits has been resolved. Despite this, Nigerians emphasize that they are still grappling with the current realities of fuel scarcity, price hikes, and irregularities in pump prices across the country. Let us take some reactions to this story now on X. Zago is saying, why should we experience fuel scarcity even though fuel subsidy was removed? Again, the petrol is supposedly imported with dollars. However, when the value of the dollar decreases, the price of fuel doesn't decrease. Why? We have another tweet from... Do we have those tweets? We have another tweet from Ander saying, power supply somehow got worse after electricity tariff was increased. at least generator day. Make I buy fuel. The fuel itself is now scarce. Filling stations sold as high as 1,500 naira per litre today. All these expenses with minimum wage at 30,000 naira. We have another tweet from Olamide saying, price no change, but many fuel stations are increasing their prices every day from 650 naira to 690 naira, and then now in Abuja is 720 naira. Send your men to check stations that are hoarding the products, please. We have another tweet from Uncle K saying, lots of these stations in rural areas are already selling PMS for 800 naira per litre. Like, I just don't understand. Why do people take advantage of these challenges to make life difficult for people in these locations? And that's all we'll take on what's trending tonight, but you can join the conversation and share your thoughts across our social media platforms at News Central TV. I am Jadel Simon.
Thank you, Jadel. And that's how we wrap up tonight, but not before we bring you another look at the major stories. Akeredolu's ex-deputy, Agboola Ajayi, emerges People's Democratic Party's governorship flag bearer. 14 fleeing inmates from Suleja prison rearrested, 105 still at large. NNPC says petrol scarcity experienced in some parts of the country resolved. We also brought you news that Tanzania has denied allegations of human rights abuse as World Bank suspends funding. Would like to hear from you. Please send your eyewitness report to the number showing now on your screen, or you could just tag along with us at News Central TV on all socials. We're live on DSTV channel 422, Star Times channel 274, Apple TV, and on YouTube. Thank you for watching. Have a good night.